How does one fall in love? Is it the magic of meeting for the first time? Is it through the doorway of friendship? Or is it a long, arduous process through which the butterflies of amour wriggle in our stomachs as we strive for the other person's time and attention? Or is it as simple as taking them by the hand and going back to your place for a little bit of fun? I don't have the answer, but I know how I fell for Lunar Princess Ranni. It began when I met her at the Church of Ela, when she gave me the spirit-calling bell, and my first trusty Ashes of War, this strange blue lady who was so kind, so captivating. I had to find her again. As you know already, I sought her out, pledged myself to her service, and for her sake, I sought out the fabled Finger Slayer blade, a weapon that would make one capable of slaying the emissaries of the Greater Will, or the Two Fingers. However, to delve into the ancient and lost kingdom of Nokron, I had to face off against General Radahn and slay him in epic combat. Once the great general was slain, I delved deep into the earth, at the site of where a great meteor slammed into Limgrave. After a desperate hunt through the ancient city, I claimed my mistress's prize and gifted the Finger Slayer blade to her, and that was when she vanished. Chaos enveloped the ancient ruins of the Carian royalty as Ranni meted out vengeance on our counselor Selvus for his despicable machinations to ensnare her and make her into his, fun dungeon puppet. Blythe was imprisoned and needed to be released, and Iji was now living on borrowed time, and with Ranni's full brothers Radahn and Rykard slain at my hand, Fia now dead by Cool D's hand, and the desire to see Lunar Princess Ranni again, I struck out on a new journey. First, I traveled to the Carian Study Hall, following the only clue Ranni had left me, the inverted statuette. Fighting my way through the study hall, I found the long burned and discarded corpse of the woman I loved. In her flesh was etched half of the rune of death. Troubled, I hurried back to Ranni's Rise and searched for any more clues. A spell had been undone, and now it was possible to ascend Renna's Rise and use a portal hidden away that took me to the Ainzel River, deep below the earth. And there I found Ranni hiding in the form of a doll. It was the turning of a strange page in my adventure, because now Ranni and I would do things together.
Oh, a dogged fellow, aren't we? Or is it merely thy habit to talk to dolls? Fine. Fine. I hadn't expected any soul to recognize me in this guise. But now the cat is out the bag. I cannot allow thee thy freedoms. Perform for me a service as recompense. Eliminate the baleful shadows which prowl these lands. The name of Ranni the Witch is already sullied by thee. I will not brook disobedience in this matter.
Let us speak of the past a while. I was once an Imperial, of the demigods. Only I, Nicola, and Melania could claim that title. Each of us was chosen by our own two fingers, as a candidate to succeed Queen Marika, to become the new god of the coming age, which is when I received Blythe, in the form of a vassal tailored for an Imperial, but I would not acquiesce to the two fingers. I stole the rune of death, slew mine own Imperial flesh, casting it away. I would not be controlled by that thing. The two fingers and I have been cursing each other ever since, and the baleful shadows are their assassins. Even when I turned my back upon the two fingers, Blythe remained my loyal ally. Though he was created a vassal for an Imperial, he was a colossal failure on the part of the two fingers, Blythe and E.G. both. Art willing to give too much to me, yet they both understand what lieth beyond the dark path, that I must betray everything and rid the world of what came before. Ah, should I add thee to the list? Another one, kind of heart, as kind of heart as they. Ah, this form hath loosened my tongue. I've let slip too much. Forget what thou'st heard. Forget.
Beautifully formed. My thanks. 'Twas more of a challenge than I envisioned. Now I can finally stand before them. This is farewell, my dear. Tell Blythe and E.G. I love them.
When Ranni finally left me, she handed me a key. There was something familiar about the make and color of the discarded key. It was the exact same as the locked treasure box in Renala's chamber, a box which it turned out was a safety chest to hold an ancient and precious dowry. From Renala's crumbling academy, I pursued yet a new clue. This was the lake of scarlet rot, eating its way up to the surface, around the same place where Ranni and I separated after destroying the Baleful Shadows. This dangerous adventure took me to places I could have scarcely imagined. finally, through rot, eldritch aliens from space, cults of bugs and dragons, I found Ranni at long last.
So it was thee who would become my lord. Perhaps I needn't have warned thee. I am pleased, however. Thou art a fitting choice. I go now to the night sky. It is there I shall find mine order. I bid thee travel the path of the Lord, and once all is done, we shall see each other once more.
The sword. I didn't understand the significance just then, but that sword was the customary ancient sign of a Carian princess, that she had accepted me as her fiancé. And then, once more atop her rise, we shared a final conversation.
I take it thou hast noticed. I shouldn't be surprised. I thought I might expound a little further upon the order I envision. Mine will be an order not of gold, but the stars and moon of the chill night. I would keep them far from the earth beneath our feet. As it is now, life and souls and order are bound tightly together. But I would have them at a great remove, and have the certainties of sight, emotion, faith, and touch all become impossibilities, which is why I would abandon this soil with mine order. Wouldst thou come to me even now, my one and only lord?
And that is how I won Ranni's hand and accepted her counter-proposal to me after I proposed to her. And all of you have been very strangely quiet throughout all of this. Well, it's about damn time that we got here. This story's been amazing. Yeah, the new guy hasn't contributed a thing. It feels weird talking over him as he just glowers there in the corner. Hey, now for me, how is everything? I could never get over how I was betrayed and falsely accused. Nothing will ever heal that wound. Absolutely nothing. Now for me, my man, you really need someone who you can just love, who can motivate you, just like Ranni, or my Amelia and Rem. Who's Rem again? I hate to admit it, but I'm beginning to miss Kirito's horribly annoying voice. But to the real point, it's not every day you come across an isekai story where the protagonist has to actually work to earn the love and attention of their romantic interest. I just programmed Albedo to be in love with me, and the rest is history. That's the problem with too many isekai fantasies these days. They're largely self-insert, trope-driven, power and wish fulfillment stories haphazardly crammed into a poorly planned RPG. Well, now that you've gotten the girl, I guess the rest is just you gloating about your four-armed surf mama. No? Oh no, I haven't even gotten to the best part yet.
The Earth wasn't supposed to move until the honeymoon.
Hi there everyone, Lars here from Camille's Harem. Not just a podcast for novice writers by novice writers, but also a YouTube channel by novice writers for novice writers. Because writing is an adventure, it's more fun with friends. And thank you for watching this latest episode of That Time I Married a Goddess. And while Ranni and I may now be engaged, at least in game, not in real life, that would be both really amazing and really creepy. I cannot close out this video without providing, I think, some very necessary writing insights and advice. And in this case, it has to do with, well, one of the things that I said about trope-driven stories. Usually isekai, but let's be honest, that this happens actually with a lot of various stories. And it is where effectively a love interest just exists because the hero must have one. One of the reasons why this ends up being such a big problem is because the love interest is only as developed as far as the plot or the main character needs them to be. And what that means is that a very precious relationship, or one that we're supposed to buy into, is never very well developed because the love interest in particular is not very well developed. Now, this happens a whole lot, unfortunately, to female characters within stories. Oh, here you've got the male protagonist who's got to go off and save the day. He's so cool and everything, and everyone loves him. All the readers are behind him all the way. And then we got the love interest who's just, oh, she's just so amazing. He's over the moon for her. She's just so beautiful, so clever, so powerful. But, she's only allowed to be such in order to complement him. And one of the ways that you can really see this play out, rather than having the whole Bechdel test and everything, which is a joke! She herself even said, yeah, I just kind of made this up for the fun of it. No. Let's actually have, I think, some good criteria for understanding if your love interest, especially the female love interest, has kind of been relegated off to the side. Throughout the story, do we actually get to see her develop as a character independent of her love to the protagonist? Does she have her own moments to shine, not just alongside the protagonist, but elsewhere? Now then, if, for instance, the main POV of the story is just through the eyes of the protagonist, we might miss out on some of these moments. But is it possible for the writer to put into the story, even through the main perspective of our dashing male lead, that the woman in question might be able to show off some great diplomacy, some great charm and wit that he would absolutely be unable to pull off on his own? Or maybe she pulls off a great spell or a great scientific feat that no one expected, thereby showing, hey look, I have really more worth than just being with the hunk. Furthermore, do we get to learn more about her that isn't immediately connected to the main lead? And again, you can actually have this go all different kinds of ways, whether it's the guy, that's the romantic love interest, whether it's a chair, or really anyone or anything else that is the romantic interest within the story. Do we get to learn about their favorite color, their favorite music, their favorite place to go, what they like to do when they're just hanging around, their favorite meal? And do we get to learn these things without them going on a date to their favorite place, without them making their favorite meal for the person that they love, or the person that they love asking them, what is your favorite color or your favorite song? while that's a very easy and convenient way to learn these kinds of things, it helps to see those things in action. So like, for instance, maybe the love interest really likes dressing in a certain color, independent of how they feel about the protagonist. That already communicates to us this person's got some individuality. This is their style of clothing. This is the color that they really like, or the colors that they really like. Or when they're hanging out with friends, they have a certain song that's playing, or music from a certain musician or band that quickly indicates, oh, this is the music that they like. Or that we see them, independent of any sort of date or any sort of main plot point, going to a place that they really like. Or just simply while hanging out, hey, these are the kinds of things I do, or I'm just bored, you know? I'm going to go and work on this puzzle right on over here. I didn't know you liked puzzles. I'm not a huge fan of puzzles, but I work on puzzles when I'm bored because I gotta be doing something. Moments like that tell us so much more than just the protagonist is doing something and I, as the love interest, need to be there with him to support him. Now, keeping that in mind, this is where I believe I can hurl a pretty well-deserved bit of commentary and criticism at Elden Ring. While Elden Ring is not a game in which you're supposed to go and find love, Ranni's ending is one of many that you can choose from. It's one that you have to go looking for. It's one you definitely have to work for. But as far as anything romantic is concerned, you really have to go digging for this, because that's not the kind of game that Elden Ring ultimately is. And while there are some other love stories sprinkled throughout the game, again, it is not the central focus of Elden Ring. So I can totally understand that. But if we are meant to actually be in a relationship with Ranni, if we take Ranni's quest and see it through to the very end and choose her ending, and especially because there is the opportunity to speak to the Ranni doll and to even go back to Ranni's Rise and speak with her there again to at least receive a little bit of dialogue, I feel it would actually have been really good to have more moments to actually get to know her a little bit better. What if there were other little dialogue options along the way that we could find that would connect us a little bit more to her post-quest? Kind of like what we get with Melina, because with her, there's all of these different moments throughout the game where we get to share all of these moments with her, learn these things about her and about the world around us, and because she's constantly there until she gets sacrificed, because of that, that's one of the reasons why so many fans of Elden Ring actually see the Tarnished more likely in a relationship with her than with the person who has a canon ending where there is romance. So what can we as authors truly learn from this? If you are going to have a love interest within your story, your love interest cannot just simply exist to build up the protagonist. You need to sculpt a relationship, not just simply ship it, just say, I love these two together, let me just smash them together. No, you need to create good moments between them. Moments where, for instance, they might even actually argue and then have to make up. Moments where they're just doing small, simple, sweet things. Moments where they're just shooting the breeze and getting to learn more about each other. Along with all of those very important plot-heavy moments where things are driven forward. I see this happen just far too often in many manga, especially harem manga, where you're introduced to some amazing individuals who are meant to be love interests, girls or guys alike. And they only exist, they only have personality, they only do things as far as their arc goes. So each of these characters is usually given an arc in which you get introduced to them, you get to learn about them, you get to see why the main character falls in love with them, and it's so sweet and great. And then after that arc is complete, that guy or that girl gets relegated to the back and only comes out again when it's time for drama, time for another date, just to remind the audience that the author has not forgotten about them, but otherwise they don't matter, as the main character goes on collecting more love interests or spending time with the character who's already been telegraphed to be the one true love interest by the end of the day. And if you're going to go that route, Why even bother having a harem? It comes back to the whole wish fulfillment, power fantasy trope nonsense that has been overplayed and honestly doesn't do a whole lot of good for the characters that you are writing. Whether it's going to be one love interest, a love triangle, a love square, a love what-a-hecahedron with so many different love interests potentially there, or a harem, whatever you're doing, you need to properly develop all of these characters and all of these relationships, and you need to make them relevant throughout, and you need to give these characters character development throughout. The moment that a character stops developing within a story is the moment that their part in the story truly ends, other than being a plot device. And when a character is just simply a plot device, we cease to care about them. And when that happens, the story begins falling apart, especially when that character is meant to be integral to the overall story. So, while it is difficult, it takes a whole lot of effort and everything, make sure that you are dedicated to your characters, that you're developing them as you go. And that especially for love interests, whether you are writing a romance or an action thriller or a suspense, a comedy, a horror, whatever it is that you're writing, make sure that the love interest is constantly getting developed throughout the story alongside the main character, so that way they don't just simply exist as that nice slab of meat to be enjoyed later on, because that's degrading to your characters. Your story lives or dies by its characters, and the more respect that you show to your characters, the better they become, and the better your story overall becomes. So with that being said, let's get back to writing. Let's make our stories the best that they can possibly be. And the next episode of That Time I Married a Goddess will be coming out soon, because, oh boy, we have not gotten to the end of the Ranni quest just yet, because of course there is the ending to achieve, but can the Tarnished do it? We shall soon find out. And until the next video, y'all, thank you so much for joining us on this adventure that we call writing, and tschüss.